My name is Sanjiv Dugal. I'm a professor in the College of Business at our University of Rhode Island. And this is Brower.
I'm Brower Hatcher. I'm the head of Mid-Ocean Studio in Providence. At the Steelyard, we build public art commissions, certainly throughout the United States, Canada, etc. And so for Sanjiv and I have been collaborating for a number of years, and we've been going off to conferences, essentially talking about what it is we're doing here. And one aspect of it is to expose and present the creative community that is here in Providence.
It was Anna Shapiro who was coordinating the Woolly Fair. The Woolly Fair is an annual function where artists in Providence get together, and in booths and tents they display their work. And Anna came to me and asked Sanjiv to do a fishbowl. It's a pedagogical device which I use and have developed in my classroom. And she's been part of it, so has Brower. And so they said, why don't we try and do one here? So we talked about it and we came up with this particular idea.
So for our tent, or they call them, there were pods, they were geometric icosahedrons, I believe, and which is a little dwelling. And so for the one that we selected, we decided to be doing these interviews. Other artists were having demonstrations of other things that they do. And so we decided to do this 1-minute interviews of anyone who comes in of what their creative process is.
We didn't see it so much as an interview, but more as a self-reflective process where you took a moment and you gave thought to exactly how, when, where you're doing creativity. And to get into the self-reflective mode, we required 3 cameras and a TV screen so that the individual can be looking at him or herself, looking at herself. And we solicited the expertise of Mike Troiano, and he helped us set up the tent and focus the camera. And so the individual in front of the camera is really speaking to themselves in some ways, and they're revealing what their process is.
It is very much a self-reflection, because you sit there and say, what is my creative process? I mean, you really have to go back into yourself and see how, and really think about, how do you come up with things? So
at the end of the process, when we looked at the entire film, we got quite excited. It was a great representation of our city. It was a diverse group, age and gender and the work people are doing, and that's where we thought we should do this every year if possible.
So we think it's pretty exciting, and we hope you all enjoy it.
So my name is Marley Rogers, and I'm an American moon moth. And my creative process started with a desire from the universe, an idea to be something lunar but organic. And so the moth appeals to me, and I didn't question it. It was the first idea I had. And then I started summoning the materials that I would need. I started imagining myself in various places, material stores where I would want green fabric and sparkles and various things, and I imagined them being there for me, and I started gathering them and visualizing it, have conversations, moths start popping up. My best friend from high school is taking fabulous photographs, and there are moths, so I know I'm on the right path. And I'm reading Deepak Chopra every day. Something in the morning, something at night. And he talks about perceptions, building your world. Every perception gives rise to a world that mirrors it. So I'm constantly thinking about what I'm thinking about. What are my thoughts? I want to keep them positive. I want to keep them talking to the universe. I want to keep responding to Brower and Sanjiv and Fertile Underground and everybody who is telling us their stories. And so I started gathering the materials. I didn't start becoming the moth until last night. I had to wait till it was dark because moths are nocturnal, and essentially I started becoming very, very fastidious and putting it together. And I didn't know exactly what was going to happen, of course, and I also left it to no possibilities. I couldn't get any other materials. I had to work with what I had. And sometimes it's exhausting to wait to the last minute, but I also get a rush because I have to pull it together. And so I did. I stayed up till 4, and now I'm a moon moth, ready for tonight.
My name is Mark. I'm with the Fertile Underground. I usually like to think of it more as the bubble. And ask about my creative process. I couldn't give you a creative process, but I can tell you an impetus. It's definitely the best and the worst. The worst because somebody's got to show other people how to do it right. And the best because it's an illustration of the spark of divinity that makes men aspire to bigger things.
My creative process deals with the body. It involves working with the body, trying to restore mechanics. Sometimes it involves suturing, tying. Sometimes it involves removing organs. The creative process is also mental, fixing things, trying to problem solve. Sadly, the process is very restricted based on tradition and a rubric of how to think about things. I hope one day to break away from this, to think outside the box, to promote more human healing.
Well, the first thing I do when I'm making something is I just think about what's around me and what's unique around me and what can something be combined into. And then I think of all the endless possibilities. And it's very easy for me to create something out of pure imagination. And when I don't know how to draw it, I just picture it in my memory and then give it the idea to someone.
My creative process, it begins with the material. The material itself will develop its own use. It knows what it needs to do, and I have to listen to it as an item and as an object and find how it fits in to my idea of what I'm trying to create. But as humans, we don't create matter. We just rearrange it into new formats. And listening to the vibratory nature of these materials, I work with wood, I work with earth, I work with stones primarily. They have their own intelligence, which is much greater than mine. And all I need to do is listen.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. My costume symbolizes Jen of Art, Space Crusader. So my creative process, I guess I am a painter, artist. I don't call myself a painter, I call myself an artist because I do many mediums. My creative process lately has been coming from the artists around me. I'm in a good building and I have great artists and I have great resources, and I'm really feeding off the energy of people around me, which is necessary and very good. And I'm around a lot of sculptors and sign painters and I don't know, just a lot of people. It's very inspiring right now. But my creative process, I guess people around me have been really inspiring me. Someone will be doing some work that really triggers something else in my own voice and my own work, which has been happening. And now I'm getting more serious about some of the political themes and saying more with my artwork. Now it's time. So I'm hoping this year as an artist, my political work will be posted everywhere and people will know what it is. It's gonna come out and be present. I'm gonna go public with some of my art. And I guess, yeah, ask me a question. Creative process.
My name's Rob Mariani. What I've discovered about my creative process when I'm painting is that I usually do some of my best work on projects that I'm doing while I'm waiting for the paint to dry on the one I'm supposed to be working on. Because I just kind of dash it off and it's much more spontaneous. And I find that being spontaneous is more creative for me. I guess the same is true when I'm writing. Some of my best writing comes when I'm dozing off into half sleep, which is why I write the column called The Pajama Monologues. Not to be self-promoting, but that's about it.
My name is Libby, and my art is in talking with people. I work with people both for money and for love. And my work, I help, we determine goals, and the process is a lot of listening, and it's a lot of questions, but my role in it is to push back and to have some idea of where we're going. But we might not end up there. We might end up somewhere different. The creative process of tax policy is that these dry tables of numbers reflect our society's values. And when talking to people, I have to find out their values and then show how those values are related to the dry tables of numbers and how we need to change the numbers to realize our values. So that's where I think we're going.
It's nice in here. I'm looking at around here because I was a big part of the creation of this whole thing, and the shadow fish over there. You know, I know you can't really see this on the finished product, the whole totality of our product, but the creative process is about seeing what works, and to me it's about trial and error, and some things work, like the fish over there. I mean, just like, oh, that's ugly, that's hideous, but it's something new, it's something original, it's something me. I'm not necessarily trying to better myself with the next thing, but try and reinvent and try and just re-establish a new form sometimes. Forms take many shapes, and I like working with forms because within that you have creative license, and so that's part of the process, is being allowed to say what you need to say, and maybe a little bit extra. Right on.
All right, what is my creative process? Well, it usually revolves around resources. When I am faced with needing to create something, I first look at what I have to work with. And then I think about the possibilities of what can be made of what I have to work with. And I may ask myself the question if there's something else that I need to procure regarding the resources before I begin. But most of the time I will try to work with what I've got. My whole sort of lifestyle has come to be about work with what you've got, make what you need out of what you have. And my creative process tends to be my whole life. It's one thing to be an artist, and yes, I do make art, I make paintings, I sew things, I create things, I made a lot of this fishbowl, but it's a life. It's more about the person that being creative makes you become. It's more about what it does to your head and to your heart and to your spirit. And so it's more about the process.
When I do art, it makes me think of cartoon characters that I usually draw. It's like drawing like what I think of in my head, and drawing is like half of my life. That's all I have to say.
Hi, my name is Nina Maxwell, and my creative process works for me when I become completely present to the best of my ability. So the way that I create is to do my best to be here now completely, and then from that place I create from a place of purity. So yeah, I would say that my creative process involves cultivating the meditative mind, and then that leads to creation in a very positive way.
My name is Fernando Guimarães. I'm originally from Brazil. I live in Boston, and I love this energy of Providence. That's why I'm often on here in Providence. And currently my means is photography, and also digital photography, manipulating, because I was never able to draw or to paint, but now with the computer I can transform my pictures into digital watercolor, and that's is basically for like personal pleasure. But I realized that that has impact on people's that when they are also because I'm teacher of English, so I realize that photography as a universal language, as image, brings this non-verbal communication with the public. So that's what I like the most.
Hello, my name is Miranda Elliott Rader, and my creative process is one of entering into a place of darkness and a mystery. When I was a child growing up in Olympia, Washington, I lived by many acres of dark, deep woods, and I would walk through there and explore new pathways, but not really be too concerned about where exactly I was going. Just now, I made this tinfoil hat, which you can't see because it's above the camera right now, so I'm going to scoot down so you can see the tinfoil hat. But there is a trapeze artist swinging on the tinfoil hat, and someone might say, "Oh, thank you, thank you." Oh, it's backwards in the monitor. Oh God. Anyway, someone might say, "How did you make this awesome hat of a trapeze artist?" And I replied, because I wasn't afraid of making a non-awesome hat. Okay. Another place in my creative process is that when I enter into that state of being unafraid to make something non-awesome, there is a deep pit within my stomach. It's a very physical experience, like a deep bottomless well from which I can always draw energy and strength. I'm also a singer, and so the singing and the art, they both come from this well of vibrations and movement that exists deep within my center of gravity. That is another visualization that I use for my own creative process.
Okay, what is my creative process? For me, creativity, how I work, is very collaborative, very intuitive, and off the cuff. I respond to my environment, I respond to the people around me. I don't believe that there is any truly original thought. I think it always comes from something prior, something that's already been around, but it's how you perceive it and how you represent it to the world that's something different, that's expressive of yourself. I know that I get a lot of energy by working with people. This Woolly Fair has been amazing because it's just raised a huge amount of very incredible, collaborative, original thought. But I also like working alone in my studio and letting the intuition and the free flow of collage work and sculpture and painting come to me sort of as if in a dream.
Probably my creative process started when I was very small, most likely with my mother. There was 4 of us in our family, and she would have lots of magazines left over and crayons, and we'd do cutting out of the pictures and make collages and melt the crayons and make pictures. And but that led into me being a musician, which when I talk about creativity, usually I'm inspired by something that's either an event in my life or a moment or something I see or something that a relationship or a relationship with somebody. So I might write music, about that or about problems that people have. So probably people inspire me more, and that's mostly where I get my creative energies from.
My creative process. I've tried some glass blowing. I've taken a couple of courses in that, and that was reasonably successful. Not particularly adept at it, but did a couple of those. And I've been to the steel yard a few times to try my hand at some welding and making some kind of functional, artsy kind of stuff, more garden equipment. But my real creative process is I managed to produce a painter and a metal sculptor and a photographer, and somewhere over here is another budding metal sculptor. So I guess it's skipped a generation. And that's it.
Hi, my name is Carly. Well, what I like, I like to write, and I'm writing a book at home, and I'm almost to 100 pages, and I really hope to publish it. It's called Torn Between Two Spaces, and I worked hard on it for about a year now, almost. And I hope I can accomplish this and publish this book. It's about a girl named Selena, and she moves to a new place, and she meets new people, but one is just a plain girl and another is a popular clique, and she chooses what side she has to be on near the end of the book, and she chooses and you'd figure it out at the end. So that would be pretty much about my book.
Okay, my creative process. Every now and then I feel the need to be creative. I'm sort of driven to be creative, whether it's a project in the yard or maybe putting together a new recipe. And it either just comes to me what I want to do. I have a vision of either what I would maybe like to cook, would like to eat, or what I'd like to see in the garden or in the yard, or maybe in addition to a building. I tend to study it for a while, looking at it from different angles, think about it, maybe do nothing the first day, sleep on it, maybe 1 day, 2 days. And then when I'm well rested, I would take it on. This would be mostly for physical projects or making a building or adding to a building or working in the garden. Cooking something would be more spur of the moment. And I would think about it, I would look at what I would want to do, I would sketch it out in my head, the end design or the end product, what I wanted to achieve, and then be thinking about the supplies I might use to get to that end. I'd lay it out, think about it a little bit more, and if I was clear on it, I would just take on the task and take it to its end. And as with many of my projects, I can visualize them or view them actually from my deck in my garden, in my yard, and I get much enjoyment from that. And I'll sit back and sometimes I'll go and do a modification a week later, a year later. And that's pretty much it for me, soup to nuts on being creative and how it starts and where I go and where it ends.
My name is Andrea, and my creative process is finding things that inspire me or ideas that inspire me and making stuff out of it, often with friends, often spur of the moment, but then sometimes my creative process is very methodical and very precise and is inspired by necessity and long-term goals. I really like to use things at hand to make what I need in any given moment when it's spontaneous, and when it's methodical, I like to have all the materials exactly as I want them and to have all of the tools that I need in a neat working space. So I'm kind of both. I can either work really crazy, spontaneous, messy and all this, or I can work very neatly and precisely to make very precise things. I like to make food the same way. I either want to be completely improvising or following a really complex recipe that has to go just right.
What's your favorite thing to do?
And that I also like to do with other people as well. And when I'm working very methodically, I tend to like to work by myself. And when I'm working spontaneously, I like to work with other people. But I also really like when it's working with other people, I like to have a very clear idea of what my part of the project is and be working like a little assembly line to make things so that it works very efficiently and like a well-oiled machine.
My name is Derek Cordero, and I guess we're here to talk about creative processes. In the words of John Leguizamo, I don't know how I do it, I just do it. Creative processing, for me, I guess just comes with the environment and what goes on. We just do it, you have a vision, something sparks something. The people you're around, you see a need for something creative or a feeling of something that is deep inside that may just need to come out. It's a lot of things. Could be looking at the sky and some vision forms, or just meditating on nothing and something just pops into your reality. So yeah, to me that is my creative process.
Okay. My name is Ethan Itkin, and for my creative process, I like to think about my idea and what I want to do with it, and then if I like to make movies, so when I'm making a movie, I like to think about the story and how I'm gonna work it all out, and how I'm gonna use all the different tools to make the movie.
My name's Mia, and I think that you should always draw what you want to see, not what other people want to see, because when you're done, you want to be happy with what you draw, not be happy that other people like it. You should be happy that you like it instead. And you, I don't know anything else to say. If you want to draw like a dog or something, and one of the kids in your class said everyone likes cats or something, you should draw a dog just because everyone in your class likes cats. You should draw what you want to see instead.
What is my creative process? I asked myself the question, and the question yielded the answer, and that it tends to always start with a question. And you're looking for an answer to a question that you've posed for yourself that may result in some form of clarity or a finalized process, be it a decision or a piece of work. But oftentimes you find that the answer is just more questions that lead to an infinite number of more possibilities, and that's kind of the exponential growth of life. The creative process is what allows at least myself to function on a daily basis. There are a lot of questions, and there's even more answers to those questions that yield more questions. It starts with a line, which turns into a shape, which turns into a face or a building or any number of other things. It's really just kind of infinite. It answers itself in a way. So it's not really so much a direct process as it is a search for something.
Hi. My creative process is, well, I'm a gymnast, and on the event floor, you need to make up a whole routine to a song, and it takes a lot of hard work. Yes, it has 2 tumbling passes in it and a lot of jumps, and you have to be able to know it really well, and there's a lot of dance in it. That's it.
So my name is Carl Haas. I'm here to talk about creative process. Let's see. Probably when I started making art, I would just try to pile everything together and draw something out of it. But now I don't have all the time in the world after being a father. So now I have to attack things with a super laser vision, because the time is very short and of the essence, and I have to pretty much think about what I need to do before I get it done, instead of just sitting around the studio and trying to make something happen out of nothing. Also thinking about being here in the moment, like now, and how important that is to be aware of your surroundings, opposed to trying to disconnect from your surroundings.
Hi, my name is Bruce Kaplan, and my creative process is completely unknown. It's something I don't want to know about. I want it to come creeping unbidden in the darkest recesses of my mind into the light in my frontal temporal lobes. I want to be seduced by it. I want it to wash over me unexpected. I don't want to engage it and wonder about it and question it. I just want to experience it. I want to not count on it. I don't want to build a clock around it. I just want it to bathe over me. I want to look it in the eye, the big hairy eye. I want to make it cry and scream and laugh and wash over me. This is what I want. This is what I need. And that's about that. Peace.